Hi, I'm Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro. I wish we could all be together tonight, but I am glad that we're having this conversation. I want you to know that my office is here to stand up for Pennsylvanians against scams and against the big guys who rip off consumers every single day. That work is more important than ever because of the pandemic that we're living through together. With millions of Pennsylvanians unemployed and millions more earning less in every paycheck, I know that every single dollar counts for every family. Today you'll hear from Emily and Amy, who will help you get to know our office and how we can help, and how we go to work for your hard-earned money. Pennsylvania, like the rest of the country, is in the middle, of course, of the resurgence of COVID-19. We've moved quickly to take action to cut down on price gouging early on in the pandemic. We investigated thousands of tips, took legal action to stop illegal price gouging from stores and wholesalers, and got people their money back. And we continue to investigate every tip of suspected price gouging that we receive. My office's Pennsylvania Care Package, launched back in March to bring additional financial resources to consumers impacted by COVID-19, has resulted in significant savings for Pennsylvanians. Millions of dollars in fees waived and loans deferred. It's also the holiday season, and more people than ever will be doing their shopping online this year for Christmas, Hanukkah, or just to be nice to their family members and friends. So my office wants to make sure that you know how to spot scams and bad actors, so your money and your personal information stays protected. Today, I hope you'll take the information from Emily and Amy that they share with you and then turn around and share it with others back home. My office's Bureau of Consumer Protection takes action where Pennsylvanians like you file complaints. You empower us to start investigations and take action to stop deceptive and illegal business practices. So remember, what you learn here, please share it with others and empower yourselves and our community so that we can go to work for you. I hope that you have a safe, happy, and healthy holiday season. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you in person real soon.
Hey, I'm Aaron Meyer, Senior Rabbi at Temple Emmanuel of South Hills, and as Attorney General Shapiro mentioned, I have the pleasure to be joined this evening by Amy Schulman, who is not only a member of Temple Emmanuel, but is the Senior Deputy Attorney General from the Bureau of Consumer Protection, as well as by Emily, who is from the Public Outreach Division of the PA Attorney General's Office. We get to talk this evening about scams, about fraud prevention, and the ways that we can navigate this challenging time. And before we begin, I just want to extend a special thank you not only to the two of you, but also to Lee Feldman, the congregant who has helped us put together this series of information we need to know. So Amy, if you don't mind, I'd love to get started with you. Who is the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, and what does the PA Office of Attorney General do?
Thank you, Rabbi Meyer, and thank you for having us here tonight. Any opportunity we have to speak to the public and educate them and keep them informed, we welcome that opportunity. So thank you. Who is Josh Shapiro? I'm sure many of you have seen him on the news these days. He's been very busy, but who is he? So he is our Attorney General, and the Attorney General is an elected position, and he is the top law enforcement official for Pennsylvania. And he's entrusted with a wide range of responsibilities to protect and serve the citizens of Pennsylvania. And these duties include criminal law, civil law, public protection, public outreach. So I can briefly give an overview of each one of these divisions to kind of give you a sense of kind of the broad work that is done by the Attorney General. So our criminal law division is responsible for the investigation and prosecution of crimes, including drug trafficking, child predators, organized crime, public corruption, environmental crimes. We also have a civil law division, and our civil law division defends the constitutionality of Pennsylvania's laws, most recently our election laws. In addition, our civil law division defends Commonwealth agencies. Our public protection division, of which I am a member of, does a lot of different things. We have a Bureau of Consumer Protection that works to safeguard consumers from frauds and scams. We have a charitable trust division that protects the public interest, charities, nonprofits. We also have an antitrust division that promotes healthy competition, and a healthcare unit that works on matters affecting Pennsylvania healthcare. And lastly, we have the Office of Professional Engagement, of which Emily is an esteemed member of, that does outreach events to educate the public, keep them informed, and keep them aware of their rights under the law. So that kind of is an overview of who the Attorney General is and what the Attorney General does. But the focus of today will be the role of the Bureau of Consumer Protection and what the Bureau of Consumer Protection can do to protect you from frauds and scams, particularly in wake of COVID-19. We're seeing some different variations on some long kind of standing scams and frauds that have been out there.
It's unfortunate that there are those who would seek to make a difficult time in this world even worse. But I suppose what comes as a surprise to us is your day-to-day life. You have your hand in so many different things, or the Attorney General in the office does. How does it differ from the role of the U.S. Attorney or perhaps the District Attorney? How do those interplay?
So that's a good question. And oftentimes people will say, oh, you work for the Attorney General, you must know so-and-so. And I say, no, are you sure it's not the U.S. Attorney? And they say, no. I said, maybe it's the District Attorney. And they think, oh yeah, it's Stephen Zappala. That's where my friend works. But so there's overlapping jurisdiction between the Pennsylvania Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney General, and the District Attorney. But broadly speaking, the U.S. Attorney General works within the United States Department of Justice, and they have jurisdiction over federal crimes, crimes that take place across state borders, international crimes, IRS, violations, things like that. The District Attorney has jurisdiction only within the county of which he or she serves. So they are responsible for the investigation and prosecution of crimes within that county alone.
Interesting. So scams, as you mentioned, are unfortunately prevalent still in this time. How does the Bureau of Consumer Protection assist one who has been the victim or who has questions about something that they perceive as a scam or a fraud? How are you able to assist?
Sure. So if you have been a victim of a scam or a fraud, and we'll talk a little bit later about common scams and frauds to avoid and how to avoid them. But if you have already been a victim of a scam or a fraud, maybe you've given money to a contractor for a deposit and they've never come back to do the work, or somehow you've noticed unauthorized charges on your credit card. What do you do? So what you can do is, and we're going to share our phone number and our email address and our website at the conclusion of the program, but you can file a complaint with our office. And our office has kind of three units. We have a mediation unit, an investigations unit, and a litigation unit. But if you file a complaint with our office, it is free of charge. There's absolutely no cost. And your complaint will be assigned to a mediation agent who will in turn try to resolve your complaint. And, it sounds more formal than it is. The mediation, you think of parties sitting, across from each other at a table. But most of it is done by way of mail or these days email or over the phone. And we try to resolve your complaint to the best of our abilities. And, as often the case is, unfortunately, your consumer complaint may be not an isolated situation, may be part of a pattern of unfair or deceptive acts or practices. In that case, what we have the ability to do is to commence an investigation. We can subpoena documents, we can require folks to come in and answer questions. And throughout that investigation, we may conclude it with a legal action filed on behalf of affected consumers. So there's a multitude of things we can do to protect consumers, but we can't protect anyone or try to help them out if they don't file a complaint with our office. We need that complaint to be of record. And we really rely on consumers to be the eyes and ears on the ground. And we need them to help us out. And so we can do our part to prevent future consumers from being impacted from any potential scams or misconduct.
I think you've already answered my next question, but let me get a little bit of clarity. I imagine that subpoena power and the ability to file a lawsuit, to bring charges, what makes you different than the Better Business Bureau or a scathing Yelp review or other outlets to which people might turn if they feel. How is the Bureau of Consumer Protection different?
That's a really good question. And the Better Business Bureau is a terrific agency. And we often work very closely with them. But the Better Business Bureau does not have the authority to take legal action or commence a formal investigation as a result of a pattern of complaints. But that being said, they are really, really important, a great resource for consumers because all of their data is public. So you can always go on their website and look up a company and find out if there are any complaints that have been filed. Unfortunately, our data is not public record, but the Better Business Bureau, their complaint records are public and searchable by consumers. So that is, an important distinction. But we do work closely together. We rely on them to bring certain matters to our attention, and vice versa.
Great, thank you. So let me bring Emily back to this party for a moment. Emily, tell us a little bit more about some of the scams that you're seeing in this COVID-19 era.
Sure. Since the start of the pandemic, I work primarily with senior citizens. I liaison between our senior citizen community in Pennsylvania and the Bureau of Consumer Protection. And a lot of times we are seeing an uptick in those phone scams. We have people who are staying home a lot more. They're answering the phone because they want to talk to loved ones. So I'm getting a lot more victims of these phone scams coming through. The Social Security number scam is definitely one of them that we've heard for quite a few months, in addition to the lottery scams. And now with the holidays approaching, we're going to see even more holiday scams, as well as probably some romance scams. So those are some things that we see happening right now. And I also take calls in reference to contracting complaints and things like that to make sure that they get to the appropriate place over an Amy section. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm not sure if Amy can echo that as well.
Well, we've certainly seen an uptick in the scams and the frauds that Emily just identified. But we have typically we have a steady diet of those types of scams. And it's really important for folks to be aware of the scams that are out there and be really careful when they pick up the phone or when they open that email. Don't be giving out your password. Don't be giving out account information. Certainly don't be wiring someone money with the promise that, you're going to get some type of lottery funds in return. I mean, these scams have been around forever. And, if it sounds too good to be true, it almost always is. And if you're not sure before you give away that information, before you wire that money, before you authorize the payment, call our office and say, what, does this sound right? Does this seem like, could this be a scam? I need to make sure. Call your bank. If you're getting an email from your bank and they want to, they're telling you need to reset your password and you need to give them some account information. Don't give that information over the phone. Your bank's never going to call you for that. Call your bank and say, I got this number. I'm sorry, I got this call. Is this right? Is this should I be doing this? And they're gonna steer you in the right direction. But you really just have to be very careful these days because folks who commit scams, they're very savvy. They're constantly modifying their scheme to avoid detection. And once you give that money away, it's oftentimes hard to get it back.
I'm sure, and I'm sure at a time when so many are economically hurting, there is kind of extra incentive or desire or wishful thinking that these would be true. And so I'm curious what types of things have been put into place during this time to help people who either are experiencing these in real time or may have fallen victim to one of these scams. Oh, Emily, you may have muted yourself. There you go.
I definitely did. There are a couple of different resources available online in reference to what you're speaking of. And so that includes the Department of Banking. They have some financial resources available for Pennsylvania residents who have been impacted by COVID-19 and important information regarding the CARES Act. The Pennsylvania Housing and Finance Agency, they had available grants or CARES assistance for renters and homeowners. That was available through November 4th, so that window has closed, but that was available. That was a program that was made available for everybody, in addition to the Office of Attorney General's Unemployment Rates and Resources as kind of a jumpstart to where do I begin navigating all this? Reporting price gouging, how to avoid and report scams, unemployment compensation scams, and how to report those. Scams regarding the stimulus checks that have been received. Things such as that, those are all kinds of state programs that the state jumped on to make sure that they were available and the resources are there. And if there's any more questions, again, as Amy said, we're going to post our phone numbers in our emails at the end. If anybody wants to reach out with any more in-depth questions, we are more than welcome to take a look, or we welcome those questions and we'll take a look at them and try to get an answer out ASAP.
I appreciate it, and it is such important work that you guys do, not only after the fact, not only after someone has fallen victim, and not only to prevent others, but hopefully to help them find some means of redress, but also in terms of prevention. I know that is a big part of what your offices do. And I'm curious to explore a little bit more about what people can do to protect themselves from falling victim in the first place.
So there's a lot of things consumers can do to protect themselves and prevent themselves from being a victim of a fraud or a scam. The most important thing is that the consumers need to be informed of their rights and the responsibilities. Be aware of the laws that protect you. Our website is a great resource. We have a lot of great information regarding all the laws here in Pennsylvania that are designed to protect you. Almost every major consumer transaction is subject to a unique regulation, whether it's buying a home, buying a car, having your car repaired, leasing a home, leasing a car, entering into a contract for a health club. So each one of these transactions is subject to a unique law here in the Commonwealth. So you want to be aware of, what are your rights under these laws? What laws are out there that protect you to make sure that you are treated fairly? In addition to that, though, it's also important that consumers recognize that they have responsibilities. You need to read the fine print. You need to be aware of, expiration dates for warranties, deadlines to file claims, um, certain limitations on benefits that may be available to you. Oftentimes they're not as great as they seem, but you want to make sure you read those fine print and you read the details. Right now it's the holiday season. Gift cards are a really great example. A lot of times you buy someone a $50 gift card and there's really $50 on it. Some of these other gift cards, there are fees, there are transaction fees each time you use it. It may lose value over time. So when you're looking at these gift cards, that's a good example of a transaction where you want to read the fine print and make sure that you're getting what you think you're paying for. But it's really important that consumers really be informed and know their rights and responsibilities. Also, do your homework on the front end, particularly when it comes to home improvement fraud. Home improvement fraud continues to be one of the biggest sources of complaints with our office, and that I've been with the office nearly 18 years, and that's something that has never changed. You need to really be do your due diligence. You want to research the company online, Google search it, Better Business Bureau, call our office. There's a home improvement law here in Pennsylvania. Contractors are required to be registered with our office. They're required to use a compliant contract. So prevention is the best tool against fraud, but you really want to do your homework and do your due diligence before you make a big dollar payment. Then there's just some practical things you can do to help prevent a fraud or a scam. Pay by credit card versus debit cards. Credit cards carry much more robust protection for consumers. If you think you paid, like we see it all the time with online purchases, particularly purchases that stem from a social media post, perhaps Instagram, Facebook. You saw some teaser ad, and you bought something, and guess what? It's never showed up. You want to call your credit card company and you want to get a charge back. It's really easy to do. And it's also important that you follow up and you want to report that scam to Facebook or Instagram so they know to pull down that seller so they can stop scamming other people. But pay by credit card because you have really great chargeback prevention. That is really the easiest way to get your money back. You're entitled to a free credit report every year. By all means, order it, take a look at it, make sure there's nothing funky on there. And that and if there is, you're going to have to file a dispute and get it removed. And read your credit card bills closely. Again, this time of year is a really good reminder of this. You want to make sure there's no unauthorized charges on your credit card. You also want to make sure you don't have any surprise subscription services. Oftentimes you sign up for a free trial, you forget to cancel it after you're maybe initially dissatisfied, and now you're being charged monthly for a service you don't realize you didn't, or you didn't fully consent to. But you want to be on the lookout for unauthorized charges and kind of surprise add-on subscription charges. Also, our office, we are in charge of the do not call list. You want to make sure you sign up for the do not call list with our office. Get your landline on there if you still have one. Get your cell phone on there. They're not allowed to robocall you. Companies are not allowed to robocall you without your consent. I have a lot of robocall cases actually that I'm currently working on. So get your phone numbers listed on the do not call list. And if you get a robocall, by all means, report that phone number to our office so we can take action to stop it. And don't fall, I kind of talked about this earlier, but don't fall for what we call phishing schemes. These are, the email that asks you to change your bank account information or They want your social security number. Do not give any sensitive information over the phone. Do not give it by email. Just don't ever do it. Also, a mysterious pop-up may appear on your computer. Your computer's been infected with the virus. You need to call this number. I just settled a case involving a tech support scam that had ties to Pittsburgh, but originated at a call center in India. Those are scams. Don't do it. If you're concerned, call Microsoft, but those are scams. Don't click on it. Don't give money. And, again, if it's too good to be true, it is. You're not the winner of a $4 million lottery you never remember entering. These are scams that have been around forever, and they prey on consumers' optimism and desire for good fortune. And it's sad, but please don't fall for them.
You've just destroyed my retirement plan, Amy.
And also, don't be embarrassed to report a fraud or a scam. And we see this often with romance scams. Like, people become victimized and then they're embarrassed about it. Please, there's no judging. If you've been victimized, you're entitled to some type of we're here to fight for you, and don't be embarrassed. We deal with very small dollar online purchase scams up to, multi-million-dollar cases we work on with other state AGs against, global pharmaceutical companies, auto manufacturers. So we do very small transactions, and we do very large multi-state global type of investigations and legal actions. Nothing's too small and nothing's too big for us. But again, we rely on you to come forward and, just please don't be embarrassed. Like, we're here to help you, and we're happy to do it.
So walk us through what that would look like. Okay, the worst has happened. We've been taken by some type of fraud, large or small. How would we go about filing a complaint with your office?
So the best way to do it is you can file the complaint online, and we're going to put up that slide in a minute. You can call our office if you like to, we will mail you a complaint form, and you can fill it out and return it back. You can download the complaint form if you want to write on it or type on it, and mail it back. We even take complaint forms over the phone. If you just want to call us and say, hey, I just got a robocall from this number and I want to report it. They've been calling me nonstop all week and I've had it. Call us. We also have the ability to take complaints over the phone.
Wonderful. It sounds like getting that information out into the world is really important here. And so, Emily, if we can bring you back on to share a little bit more information there.
Sure. We absolutely do take complaints over the phone. I can mail them out to you. I can guide you to the website and walk you through it. Whatever's going to get you that access, we are absolutely here to do that for you. So whatever is going to be best. And we do have our phone numbers and everything available that we will show. Sorry about that. So we do have all of that available for our consumer protection division. If you're a senior citizen, you're more than welcome to come through me in senior protection, and I will review the complaint and provide all the resources that I have for you and get you down to our Bureau of Consumer Protection for an agent to jump into. Any other general questions can be more so directed to our constituent services office and out of the executive office in Harrisburg. If there's anything more specific, I'd be happy to answer those as well.
Wonderful, thank you. And this is a great opportunity if anyone who is listening with us this evening has a question in real time. Now is your chance, although as you will soon see, there are teams of people who are ready and waiting to help at the moment as well. And so if somebody wants to follow up with you, how would they go about doing so?
Okay. So we do have our Consumer Protection Division. If they would like to file a complaint against a business regarding a scam or anything like that, they can do so with our Bureau of Consumer Protection at 800-441-2555. They can call me in Senior Protection, or if there's a more general question within the office, or if more general question regarding another state agency, they can contact our Office of Constituent Services, which is run again out of our Harrisburg office, out of the executive office, and that is 717-787-3391. And also in the Office of Public Engagement, you can schedule a virtual presentation for your community group, school, or even office by calling the Office of Public Engagement, me, or even emailing publicengagement@attorneygeneral.gov. We are more than happy to provide these resources. We have a bunch of different presentations as well. If you want to talk more about holiday scams, senior scams, anything like that, all the way down to online safety for children as we go more virtual through the winter, we can certainly provide those and get you set up with a specialist in your area to get those services started. We are doing virtual presentations now, so we can get those set up.
Wonderful. Emily, Amy, I am so grateful for your time this evening. I'm grateful for the work that you do to keep us and so many in the Commonwealth safe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If people reach out with additional questions to me or from this presentation, if they're watching it a little bit later, I will forward them on in the appropriate channels and encourage them to do so directly. But I just want to thank you both for your time this evening, to thank everyone who is with us tonight. And again, Lee Feldman, a Temple member who has helped to create this series of programs, particularly for our terms, our Temple Emmanuel Retirees and Mitzvah Service Group. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay safe in this dark time of year, and I very much look forward to getting to see you in person at future events.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it.